All right, a lovely day to you out there, and welcome on this special program tagged Ekiti June 20 Election, All You Need to Know. The program is sponsored by the CIMESO Center for Media and Society and the IPC International Press Center. My name is Ademola Adeleke, and it is no more news that the June 20 election in Ekiti State is fast approaching, and all seems to be set with the political parties participating in the election. From the All Progressives Congress, APC, to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the African Democratic Party, ADC, to the Accord Party, preparations are in top gear by these parties to ensure minds of the electorate are won, and thereby ensuring their victory in the election come June 20. You will agree with me that we are now in the electionary period, as the floor is now opened by INEC for campaigning. Parties are now warming up to sell their candidates to the electorate and unveil their manifesto, and as well tell Ekiti what their parties have in stock. What is now the responsibility of the electorate, the role of INEC, the police, NSCDC, journalists, and other stakeholders in this election? Stay tuned as we unpack these in a jiffy. All right, I have with me in the studio my guests. These today are the Executive Director, Center for Media and Society, Dr. Akin Bulu.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
You.
And I also have in the studio with me to help dissect what we brought to you this afternoon, the Executive Director, International Press Center, Mr. Larry Arugundade.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. And also in the studio, the only video, no, we are gender sensitive. The only video in the studio this afternoon is the Director, Ekiti State National Orientation Agency, Mrs. Oluwakemi Akomolede.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here.
All right, let me quickly tell our listeners and viewers at home that we are live on our Facebook page at Ekiti State Radio, and you can also connect us live on our television channel 41 and 113 on Star Times and Link Concert. We are also live on our Facebook page. You can drop your comments, and as we go in the program, we'll throw the line open so that you can be part of the conversation. So starting with the Executive Director, CIMESO, that is a Center for Media and Society, and in collaboration with IPC. You are in this state going to a week now, and I know you've brought together some stakeholders. We want to know, why are you putting together these stakeholders, and what is your purpose, the focus in this thing? We know it's all about election, but what are you trying to achieve?
Thank you very much. One thing is on the mind of every Nigerian, and that is the consolidation of our democracy. And to consolidate our democracy, one of the important things that must happen is that every election that we conduct must be credible. We must ensure as citizens, as stakeholders in our democracy, that at every point where there's an election to conduct, that election is credible, that it delivers the dividends of democracy to the people. Now we have an off-cycle, as we say, governorship election coming up in Ekiti State. And it's one of the very, very important elections, and stakeholders are focused on Ekiti. All over the world now, the attention, the focus is on Ekiti State. People want a credible election. So we'll be here this week to bring stakeholders together to see how stakeholders will have conversation and to make commitments concerning their roles and to deliver on those roles so that you can have a credible process. Now, since Monday, we've been really busy bringing together various stakeholders On Monday, for example, we started with what we call an interaction between INEC, that is the Voter Education and Publicity Department of INEC, with journalists in this state. And what we wanted to achieve with that was to bring those two important bodies together so that they could develop understanding, develop frameworks of working together so that a credible election will be delivered. We moved from there into another activity which we called a broadcasting audience voter opinion lab, where we brought together stakeholders, citizens, grassroots citizens in most cases together to voice their opinions, to give us a sense of their understanding of the landscape, how they see things going towards the elections. We had farmers, we had drivers, we had market women, different kinds of stakeholders. We also had journalists in there, different kinds of citizens from different backgrounds. And they also came up with their understanding of the landscape and what should be done. They have good recommendations. Then, as you saw yesterday, we had another activity that brought together journalists with other critical stakeholders. We saw security agencies, for example, INEC was there, National Orientation Agency was there, journalists were there, different kinds of NCDC, you saw the police, you saw NCDC and all of that, all these agencies with journalists. And the intention of that was to build a kind of understanding, shared understanding of the issues, shared understanding of the level of preparedness of each of the stakeholder agencies, and for them also to make commitments on how they will deliver on their responsibilities, so that at the end of the day we will have a very credible election on the 20th of June.
Okay, no doubt. I know the Executive Director, IPC, International Center for International Press Center, International Press Center. You're part of this team, and you've been with this semester since Monday, meeting with stakeholders. Like Doctor said, you've met with the police, NSCDC, INEC, and others. What are the lessons are you taking away from the kind of collaboration or conversation that you have with these people?
Well, one key lesson that we can take from the conversations we've had so far is that communication is very, very important between and among the various election stakeholders in the state, because it helps the process of clarifying issues, because sometimes there are contentious issues. It helps the process of obtaining commitments from these stakeholders as to how effectively they will perform their functions. And sometimes, it has also helped to clarify even, aspects of what you could call misconceptions about, what is really, happening. So that is one, major, takeaway, because at the end of the day, we're trying to build a synergy. We're trying to see that the stakeholders do not work at cross purposes, but that they work towards, a common good. And another takeaway is also the fact that having those, forums have given us enough information as journalists, as media, to follow up. Because the whole idea really is that we must understand that we're accountable to the people when it comes to this particular election. So all the things that all the assurances given by the police PRO yesterday, the assurances given by the INEC chairman in terms of what they are currently doing, what they will be doing, the timetable and every other thing. All these are things that we expect our colleagues in the media here in Ekiti State to follow up on, to remind them of, because like I said, we are just working towards a common goal of having a credible election. The other lesson that we've taken from the conversations we've had so far is that we need to pay more attention to the challenge of disinformation and misinformation. And fact-checking, yeah, because it's a major challenge. We need to counter it. Fact-checking is just one of the means by which you do that. But we need to be aware that it's a permanent danger anytime elections are around, because people want to manipulate information, they want to do all kind of things. So these are just some of the important takeaways from the engagements we've had so far.
Okay, I'm still on you, sir. We know we are in the pre-election period. From what you've gotten from the stakeholders that you brought together, that you bring together since Monday, how do you assess the atmosphere of Ekiti?
Well, I can see an atmosphere where people are aware that election is coming, and the stakeholders are already taking various steps towards assuring the people, one, that their votes will count, but more importantly, that there will be a peaceful environment. So we heard from the police yesterday about the mapping they've done, trying to look at areas where people can be prone to violent acts, and then taking proactive measures to, check that. The same thing with INEC, really. So you see a sense of, preparedness that election is coming. Of course, we've not really seen what do you call it now, campaign trains or people moving around, but even in small corners everywhere, people are talking about the elections. During the engagement we had with the journalists, there were conversations, really. And like I said, issues that could easily lead to kind of anger or passion are being, diffused. One case that came up yesterday was that of the candidate of a political party that was said to have been removed, from the list, and the explanation was made that it's not removal because it wasn't there due to certain circumstances, but that now that there's a court ruling, the name has been included. All these things are very, very important. The reasons why people don't come out too, and I'm sure by the time you are talking to our NOA here, she'll be able to speak more on that, because a lot still has to be done, you see, because we are just in the city, and so you can expect the mood in Ekiti, being the state capital, being a major city, to be different from the rural areas. Maybe when you now go to the hinterland, there may not be much things happening, and this is where the challenge of voter education. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. It's natural for there to be. All the political parties definitely have their secretariats in the state capital. So things will be happening here. But elsewhere, we have to also ensure that things happen, at least at the level of informing the people about the election.
Okay, coming to Mrs. Akomoli, you are the director of National Orientation Agency. Yeah. You are in Ekiti. And Mr. Arugunade just said something about campaign train. Is not to see campaign train in Ekiti, despite that we are closer to the election period, which is June 20. Can you throw more light on this, why we have this campaign train late, or probably there are campaigns, there are political activities that they are not privy to?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Demola. I will tell you that in the past few weeks, let me say precisely in the month of March, we've been able, from the report gathered from our COMOs and the local government, a lot of activities have been going on the ground, they're not to the surface. But recently, in that month, for like a week, we were able to have we're able to see, will I call it a kind of rallies? Yes, from various quarters. I was privileged to move down to Ajilo Society, that's to Kere Road, at the roundabout of Okesha, Okeyimi. I see some political activities going on. I should call it a road walk or road show, whereby I see party members in their vest, declaring their candidates, though the candidates were not there, but we see party loyalists, trying to sell their products to the people, trying to sell their candidates to the people. So then again, another factor that I believe allowed that you don't see much activities, much rally, much campaign is because of the issue that Mr. Robudade mentioned earlier on about some court cases and all those stuffs. And I believe some of them have resolved this, the differences in the courts, and INEC as well has declared that they are now free. They can now go out and make up open rally and campaign. Each party is telling people what they need to do, what they want, what they want to do for the people. I believe it over time, things will fall in place. And like I said, Ekiti people were peace-loving people. I'm sure you can testify to that. We're very, very peace-loving, and I can see that from the activities of NOAA. Yes, I'm proud to say that. It's part of our activities because since last year, we've been moving around the nooks and crannies of Ekiti State, those places that we can touch to sensitize them ahead that, okay, Ekiti people, my people, by so time next year, with the rollout of the registration of voters' cards since December last year, that this and this is going to happen in Ekiti come June 20, the timetable is out, so please key into this, key into that. We've been doing that, and to tell them, make sure you have your power, and your power starts from your voters' card. We'll be telling the people of Ekiti, and I think that's one of those things that necessitates this peaceful atmosphere that we've been having. And at the same time, we'll be able to go to schools. Like I said, we'll be able to visit the others, the traditional chiefs, not to talk of the traditional rulers alone, but chiefs in various cultures, to talk to them. And at the same time, the youth are including them, the PW people, the women's societies, the various women's societies. There was a time a program was held at Adunia Olayinka Hall, where we invited all women groups, and women in politics are being organized by some women group in the States. We've been able to talk to them, and I believe this is what gives in room for peace in Ekiti.
Okay, so in essence, in the next few days now, we look up to campaign activities, more of campaign.
More of it now will be coming.
Before I leave you, in just one word, comparing the period we are now, campaign activities this period, and what we have in 2022 others, how would you rate it in just one word?
Well, I'll say I will in one word, we're improving. We are developing. I will say it that way. We are developing.
What about a figure? If you want to rate it in figure, maybe 20%, 30%.
In percentage, let me say 7% out of 10.
Okay. Yes. All right.
I believe it's a pass mark.
70%.
Yes.
Okay. Coming to Dr. Akingbulu. Coming to Dr. Akingbulu now. One thing that was part of the program yesterday was voter education, civic voter education, and I think at this particular period, more of the electorate should know more of their rights as regards this coming election, the pre-election period before the election period. So you were trying to say something about voter education yesterday. To those that are not part of the outing yesterday, what is this civic voter education all about?
Okay, let me begin from this premise that a credible election requires, among other things, informed citizens. Mm-hmm. Second, it requires informed decisions. When you take those two elements, you now see the importance of civic and voter education that we're talking about. It is important that the citizens who are going to vote, that they understand the issues. It's not just knowing the candidates or knowing the political parties, they also have to understand the issues in the election. They also have to understand the processes of even casting their vote and all of that. They have to understand other issues. Okay, let me give you an example. The new Electoral Act now says after votes are cast, rivers used, people have cast their votes to transmit results to IREC. Says yes, electronic transmission, but it then puts a caveat. It says where there is communication failure, then manual collation will continue. But manual transmission will then become the thing. Citizens need to understand all of that, so that when it's election time, citizens need to know that it is possible. For example, for networks, telcos, all these telecommunication networks, to have problems during an election. And so if at that polling area, certain things are not taking place, or certain things are changed to some other things, they need to know, this is already covered by the law. So many issues in the electoral process that they need to understand. So it's important for voter education. That is to say, developing not just awareness, but understanding that they will use to be able to take informed decisions on election day, for example. And when you say voter education, it's not just targeted on election day alone, all the processes, so that everything that's happening, that election stakeholders, or every step that they are taking, citizens also need to understand. Parties can begin to campaign. INEC has its own timetable for them. So if they are following those timetables, citizens need to understand, okay, this is the next item on the agenda, of the electoral cycle and all of that. Very important, all of these things. So to make this happen, there are agencies, there are institutions that have the responsibilities to carry out these activities. Central, for example, is an agency like the National Orientation Agency, and I'm happy that my dad is sitting at the center here. Has central responsibility. Okay. Also important core responsibility is the election management body, INEC. Okay. They have to explain all of this. This is what we're doing. This is where we are on our timetable, and they should be carrying citizens along. This is where we're going. This is how we expect citizens to behave when they go to vote, and all that. This is how we expect them to engage, and all of that. Not only these institutions, the media, very, very central in this. Very central in this assignment, of voter education or civic and voter education. Because, as you know, even the other agencies, in many cases, need to partner with the media to be able to disseminate, their own positions, amplify their positions, to citizens. And in doing that, it's not that the media will just talk, to citizens and just disseminate information. They also need to give the citizens access to also come and voice their concerns. So that's why it's called education. It's not that just one entity just dishes out information. There has to be interaction. It's a communication interaction. That's when you have the education.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Maybe at this point, let me throw the line open so that people at home can join this conversation. Like I said at the beginning of this program, we are live on our television channel. You can watch us on channel 41 and on Star Times 113. And at Nicomsat, if you have the free to air in your house, if it's available. You can also watch us on our Facebook page at Ekiti State Radio. And you can be part of the conversation now. The numbers to dial to ask questions as regards pre-election matter, the election proper, without necessarily referring to any political party here. The number to dial is 081-301-32097. The number again, 081-301-32097. Before I will still come back to you, Dr. Akigbulu, to ask about what a voter need to know before the election day, when he used to get to the polling unit, when he has to leave and whatever. But before then, let me quickly go to Mr. Rogundade. You talked about fact checking the other time, and one thing that is on the increase, especially when we get to election period like this, is fake news. We see one party maligning the another party. On the day of the election, you will see results fly here and there. To those listening to us, how do they get the real fact from the rumor? You know, this thing can be termed as rumor on Facebook, on the other channel, WhatsApp channel, or whatever. How can they discern information?
Well, I think that the first thing that people should know is that any wrong information can mar the process. It can be a rumor, it can be everything. And what we have discovered is that this fake news or false information is not necessarily new. But now we have the social media that gives it volume. And people belong to all kind of WhatsApp groups. You see something, maybe because your friend, your classmate, or your churchmate, or mosmate put it there, the next thing you are sharing it when you are not sure. So our people must understand that during politics, people want to deceive. It could even be the politicians themselves. It could be their spokespersons who want to exaggerate the facts so that people will think that they have a large following. We have seen instances, not in the Ekiti state, but presidential videos went out and they said, oh, they had a very large crowd. When we did, we found out that crowd that they were presenting as being part of their rally was a crowd at a football match. So,
I'm sorry to cut you. There's a call coming in. Hello, good. All right, that person is not ready yet. Like I said, to be part of this conversation, the numbers to dial 081-301-32097. Go ahead, Mr. Roblade.
And now we've gotten to the level where you have what is called AI-generated disinformation, artificial intelligence. We have what is called deep fakes. People can, manipulate image. They can put words into somebody's mouth and it will look real. So what we are advising our people is that when it comes to political information, they must view some things with suspicion, and they must hesitate before they start, sharing. And this is where the media, comes in, because we have to be ahead of others. We have to help the citizens. A lot of people just receive this information and innocently share it, but sometimes they're sharing what has been deliberately concocted to deceive the people. So for us, it's important. And when we talk about fact checking, we're not limiting ourselves to journalists alone. We're also even looking at INEC as an institution itself, that don't rely on the media, because we're not going to be able to do everything for you. Your own staff too need to have this basic skill, so that even you can proactively get information to the media that, oh, you've seen something about INEC, it's not true, we've got to check, because you are going to be hearing all kind of things. Somebody might say INEC office somewhere is already on fire, just to cause a lot of confusion, or there's an accident somewhere. Somebody might say, oh, ballot papers that they were taken to a politician's house, they found it somewhere, and so all kind of things would come up to confuse the people, to deceive the people, and we have to be very much at alert to prevent things from causing any form of confusion that may mar the electoral process. That is why we are investing so much energy and resources in this particular area, and we will continue to do it in conjunction with the journalists, even up to the election period and thereafter, just to ensure that we get it right, because experience has shown that where the media in particular does not get it right during elections, a lot of problems can arise. The discipline of verification now becomes very, very important, particularly when it comes to security issues or issues related to the elections. The police PRO said yesterday that his line is available, it's free, and that he will provide other lines of the DPOs that people can call for information. So as people are listening to us, saying now that there is that commitment, and all you need to do do is to have access to those numbers and call them when you are not sure of certain things.
All right, we have a call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, your name and where you are calling from, please.
My name is Sakina from Agreon.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for Perry Junior.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Without any campaign or any other thing.
No, we are not. Let me make it known that we are not here to talk about any political party.
Yes.
What we are talking about is just about the election. So please, if you want to call and contribute, just ask questions as regarding the election, how to prepare for it. Yeah, as a citizen, what you need to know about the forthcoming election. That is what we are talking about this afternoon. Please don't talk about any political party. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. I will talk about the security.
Okay, go ahead. Is that okay? Go ahead.
Because the previous election that was conducted, where I'm okay at another side, I observe some things when I'm coming as a Surajudin. Because those pregnant mothers and women with their children, how to protect them and everybody in Ekiti. This one is very, very compulsory. And secondly, I don't want anybody to give money this time around. Because most of the people that they give money to, they will stay in the one corner. The people that are going up and down, they will be
Okay.
tell them their names, they will write it down. That is the one that they will go and present the governor. They will not even give anybody the money. That's what I have found.
All right, thank you very much, madam, for that contribution. Thank you very much. We've gotten the message. You talked about security. You want a mother and child to be well protected during this election period. Thank you very much for that.
I think it's the one she talked about, maybe nursing mothers and the elderly is part of the issues in the electoral process, because one of the areas where we draw attention of INEC to, and the officials are also trained on that, is to accord them what is called priority voting, where you see a pregnant woman, a very old, the electoral regulation permits the official to appeal to the people, and our people too must be willing to do that. Yeah, it's true you might have killed, but let's, what do they call it, omoluabi, let's behave like omoluabi. When you're on the queue and you see somebody who is very old, 70, 75, 80, wanting to vote, or somebody that has one disability or the other, it's also duty as citizens to help INEC officials by allowing those people to go to the head of the line to cast their vote in time. All those kind of things make for credible elections.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have something in addition to that. Like I said, the last election where I went to observe, at the Boeing local government, all the places that I went to, I would not like to. INEC really tried, because by the time I got there, when I see like 3-4 lines, then the first one I said, why not a queue? Then I said, no, madam. And when I look critically, I saw the elderly ones in one row, the nursing mothers and the pregnant women. I saw them there. I saw youth again. Then I saw people with disabilities. Okay. So by the time the electoral officer, you pick one from here, pick one from. So that area, I think INEC have really, really tried, and I give kudos to them. And I'm sure that this time around, we're expecting nothing lesser, but a better one this time around.
Can we also say something, because that citizen raised other issues?
Okay.
Vote buying.
Vote buying. Okay.
Maybe vote buying, for example.
Okay.
It's a very, very, very critical, serious issue in our electoral process. And it's one area where we need to do a lot of work in the area of civic and voter education, where as we prepare for this forthcoming election. The political class has continued to be more and more sophisticated when it comes to this kind of thing as one election holds as every election holds from time to time. And it is a challenge to citizens, to all stakeholders who want credible elections. The Boko Sebe. Can you imagine? Somebody said, Obe Burukuni,
Yes.
I mean 5,000 naira.
For 4 years.
I mean, Obe of reproach, 5,000 naira, for 4 years. And whoever gets involved in that kind of thing should know that he or she has sold
his future.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the possibly future of children as well. 5,000, and then you vote for someone who's not deserving of the vote, and he or she gets into office and begins to misbehave, doesn't deliver the dividends of democracy, and so on and so forth. It's a serious matter. Voter education must target the issue of vote trading. Now we say trading because where there is buyer,
there is always a seller.
There is also a seller. It's very, very important that we address this in our electoral process. And I believe that stakeholders are working, everyone coming from his own angle, how to deal with this, whether it's in case of anti-graft agencies, for example, who go to the field during election, security agencies, even agencies in charge of enlightenment, like National Orientation Agency, the media. It's very, very important. It's one of the key issues, yes, in every election in Nigeria now. And we must put hands together, our stakeholders, to ensure that this is addressed very comprehensively.
Okay, I think we have another call. Hello.
The same person.
Yes, I don't know.
Okay.
Most of the people that they give money to, they gather their relatives together, and they will use their phone to transfer the money, and they become one on one side, and they will ask other people to go and register their names and their account number and phone number here. You got to deliver that money to the person. Their own relatives, they will transfer that their own.
Oh, it is from your side, though. It is from your side that
I think what we are saying here is that,
different from. Okay.
Well, our own is that there should be no
Buying
Vote trading.
Inducement
or
transaction. Vote. Don't collect money even if you are offered, because this money will not solve any of your problems. And once you collect money, you also cannot hold. You also cannot hold those who have been elected accountable, because they will tell you that after all you have. Yes, so selling your vote is like
you have been paid.
Because they will say you have been paid. So why are you asking us to come and do anything for you? That is just our own position here. That it shouldn't rear its head at all.
Okay, let me quickly reel out the numbers again. The number again to be part of this conversation: 081-301-32097. 081-301-32097. I think one area that Mrs. Sakomole they talked about the other time is the issue of elderly people and people who are physically challenged participating in this election. I want us to emphasize more on this. Maybe Dr. Akingbulu, tell us more. How can we encourage these people to participate more in election processes? I mean, the youths, the physically challenged, people with disabilities, and elderly people.
You have raised a very, very important question. Before you, today, in today's world, one of the features of a credible election is inclusion, inclusivity, meaning that all segments of society should have access, should participate, leaving no segment, no section of the population behind. And when you look at our society, the way things are traditionally, in some of these democratic processes, some segments are usually not given the necessary attention. We are talking of women We are talking of pregnant women, for example, as we have mentioned, the elderly. We are talking of persons with disability. We are talking young people, different kinds of demographics who are not getting the best that they should have, who do not have a level playing field, so to speak, when it gets to the electoral process. So today, across the world, the standards are there. The election management body and other stakeholders must provide level playing field, that is to say, accommodate them. And how do they do all of this? He already mentioned some of those ways. For example, priority voting on election day, in which you make arrangements for them, to be able to go through their own process, cast their vote, so that they can go home. Yeah, so that they can go. Another way, for example, is to provide resources, assistance to them, persons with disabilities, for example, braille guides, other assistive devices like devices with which they will be able to see clearly. Yes, the persons with albinism, for example, the different kinds of things, making the voting environment also conducive for them. Those who have physical disabilities, to be able to access the polling unit and all of that. These are arrangements. And I have seen that at the level of legislation, that Nigeria has also made tremendous progress. The Electoral Act has continued from 2022, to even the 2026 Act, making accommodation, for how the electoral management body and other stakeholders would really privilege, so to speak, give access, provide conducive environment for these groups of citizens to participate in the electoral process.
Okay, I know that you just talked about these people, the participating in the electoral process in one side, voting. I want them now to be voted for.
Yes.
So coming to
yes,
yes. Yeah, I understand
Yes.
that the answer that you explained is about them voting.
Yes.
Now they should be voted for.
Yes.
So coming to Mr. Arugundade now, don't you think there should be a reserved seat for this one, apart from them getting appointments? I mean, people with disabilities. Don't you think they should also be voted for? Because in almost every political dispensation, we don't see them on ballots.
Well, they should be voted for, and if we don't see many of them on the ballot, it's because of the nature and character of our politics. Because our political parties have not yet fully embraced inclusivity when it comes to selecting candidates for political positions, just as it applies to women. For a long time, we've been talking about, 35% affirmative action, which some people even say is a kind of tokenism. In other words, political parties can decide that for all our seats, let's say you are looking at Ekiti House of Assembly now, a political party can decide that 40% of its candidates for the House of Assembly seats will fall into that category. But then we also have to encourage the people in these groups to come out with confidence, because the electoral law already recognizes them. Like Dr. Akimbodo said, the part of INEC policy is on gender. Part of their policy is on persons, with disability. So which means that there's a recognition. And we're talking of a very large community. A few years back, we were talking of about over 30 million Nigerians that fall into this, category. They need to be, encouraged, and the citizens too must be willing to embrace them when they come out on the platform of political parties, because we have seen that, disability does not affect, ability. These people have come from different backgrounds. Some of them are engineers, some of them are well trained, some of the best hands that we could have. But we still have this element of prejudice, and that has been a major problem. But I must say that at least at the level of, if you are looking at the House of Assembly, maybe when we come around later to talk about the 2027 general elections, we'll be saying that Ekiti is still ahead. I mean, you have up to about 6 women in the House of Assembly, which is a positive, development. But we want to see more, because experience has also shown that where women hold positions of responsibility, it makes a lot of difference because of the attention they always tend to pay to some important areas that has to do with, health, education, and the rest of them. So yeah, not only that they should vote, but actually I agree with you, they need to be voted for, and I hope we'll get there in the not too distant future.
All right. Our time is fast spent. We have less than 5 minutes, Mrs. Mrs. Komolede.
Yes.
Rounding off this segment, what would be your advice to Ekiti people as we go into the election?
Yes.
Come out.
What I would tell the Ekiti people is that we own ourselves. We should love ourselves. We should come out en masse and vote. And at the same time, we should embrace peace. If you don't come out to vote, you don't have a say. By the time you come out to exercise your power, then you now have a say. We should all participate in this forthcoming election. And at the same time, we should be security conscious. Let us be our own security agents.
If you see something.
Yes, if you say something, you say something. And at the same time, I want to advise the media. I'm appealing to them. Let me use the word appeal to them. As they are seeing it, so should they report. They should not bring in sentiment. They should be objective in whatever they are reporting. And at the same time, I want to appeal to the bodies concerned for the protection of the media. They need to be protected. And no harassment from any security agent towards the electorate. I believe we will have a better Nigeria. That I always say, we are developing. And one day, we'll get there. Thank you.
Amen. Yes, Dr. Akinbulu, your parting word on the program.
Final word, okay. Well, first, I say to Ekiti, please come out in large numbers to vote. The whole world is focused on Ekiti, and they want to see a huge turnout on the election day here. And from what we'll see, the election management body and the other stakeholders have said they are going to work to ensure that this is a credible election where everyone's vote will count. Please come out in large numbers and vote on election day so that we can put into office the person who's the choice of the people of Ekiti. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Rogundade. Your parting word on the program.
My parting word is that is to translate all that we have been saying.
Okay.
We the key on your kan jáde kí jáde kí dìbò kí ìmọ̀dègbò ya ó yà ní owó kò mú kò ìkàwé pé kò dìbò kò ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ó yà ní o. So that's my parting word.
Thank you very much. Let me ask, are you from Ekiti?
Well, I'm from Ekiti.
All right. That's nice. All right, thank you.
Grew up here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program this day. Let me begin from Dr. Sorry, gentlemen, I'm a woman.
Starting with the gentlewoman.
These days of inclusion.
Okay, gentlewoman, thank you very much for being part of the program. Let me start.
Yesterday.
Okay, let me start by thanking Dr. Akinbulu, is the Executive Director, Center for Media and Society. Thank you very much for coming to the program.
It's my pleasure.
And Mr. Lanre Arogundade is the Executive Director, International Press Center. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And the gentlewoman, Mrs. Oluwakemi Akomolede, is the Director, Ekiti State National Orientation Agency. Thank you very much for coming to the program.
Very much.
And let me leave this message with our audience. Do unto others as we have them do unto you, because positions are transient and life is in circle. See you again. My name is Ademola Adeleke. Good afternoon.